This video is based on an article by military strategist Professor Wang Xiangsui, a retired senior colonel in the People's Liberation Army. Wang's book, Unrestricted Warfare, reportedly shifted the views of former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon regarding China. Europe is becoming the biggest loser in the Ukraine conflict, despite having fostered closer ties with Russia following the collapse of the Soviet Union. Europe is now actively cutting these ties in an effort to align with the U.S. policies aimed at punishing Russia. But the price is dear. The largest economy prior to the Ukraine war, Europe is now facing the prospect of political divisions and security threats. Its insensible actions are not only compromising Europe's autonomy, increasing its military reliance on the U.S., but also disrupting its energy supply chains, in which Russia played an important part. So, what does the U.S. stand to gain from this situation? Quite a lot. In a scenario where Europe is on friendly terms with Russia, an economically, militarily, and politically strengthened Europe poses too significant a challenge for the U.S. to handle. Hence, the estrangement between Europe and Russia is one of the U.S.'s most crucial strategic goals. As anticipated, Europe is now gripped by fear of Russian expansion, and Russia fear of NATO's eastward movement. And this prisoner's dilemma is further exacerbated by U.S. intervention. It is evident that the European leaders struggle to discern who their allies and rivals truly are. It is their crucial mistake to view Russia, a potential provider of economic strength and security assurances, as a threat, and the U.S., a saboteur of Euro and Europe's regional stability, as a friend. The rationale behind Europe's alignment with the U.S. stem from their belief that Europe holds a prominent position within the U.S.-led unipolar world. But time and again, the U.S. disregarded and even intentionally harmed European interests. Clear-minded European politicians like Merkel are now a rarity. Europe's political stage is now occupied by liberal leftists whose obstinacy to ideology and blind loyalty to the U.S. have deprived them of strategic foresight. If Europe fails to awaken to the reality, more losses will inevitably befall the European people. Acting as a suicide bomber in the Ukraine conflict will achieve nothing but harm Europe itself. Europe's tragedy is rooted in its failure to recognize the significance of the Ukraine conflict. What we are witnessing is merely the precursor to a brand new world order, an order of multipolarity which neither the U.S. nor Europe can prevent. What Europe should be doing is striving to secure its place in the emerging world order, instead of upholding the crumbling old one. Another loser in this scenario is Ukraine itself. Once an independent country, Ukraine has now turned into a proxy of the U.S. and Europe, with greatly compromised national independence and territorial integrity. If the current situation continues, Ukraine's status as an independent country will be called into question. At first glance, the U.S. appears to be the biggest winner. To avoid instability, numerous European financial assets and capital are now being redirected to the U.S., bolstering its pandemic-stricken economy and positioning it as the best-performing developed country. Additionally, Europe is once again brought under the American security umbrella, abandoning its pursuit of strategic independence. Furthermore, the U.S. has profited during the war by selling its own energy at high prices to Europe through sanctions on Russia's energy exports. However, when considering the bigger picture in the long run, the Russia-Ukraine conflict significantly weakens the U.S.-dominated world order and damages the credibility of the U.S. To many countries, the war exposed the unreliability of the U.S. and the precariousness of the unipolar world order it perpetuates. Russia, on the other hand, is making leaps and bounces despite its losses. It has already achieved the initial goals outlined at the beginning of the special military operation. By deepening cooperation with China, India, and the global South, Russia's economy was able to withstand the blow after decoupling from the West. 2 years into the war and nearly 20,000 sanctions from 48 countries, Russia maintains relative political and social stability, even experiencing a 3.6% GDP growth in 2023. And most importantly, through this war, Russia is reshaping its image and status as a formidable major power in the emerging multipolar order. Therefore, in the long run, Russia may emerge as the real, long-term winner of this conflict. A conflict that draws the curtains on the hegemonic unipolar world order dictated by the US,